Hare Krishna. Welcome to the Bhagavad Gita class. We are going to begin chapter 18 today, last chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So first we will recite the Maṅgalācaraṇa prayers. Om Ajnanatimidandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Caitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Soyam Rupah Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutah Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All right. Yeah, let me just send a quick message on the group saying class has started. Okay. Wonderful. So we are going to begin the last chapter of Bhagavad Gita. And let me share the screen. Okay. The last chapter of Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18. So we are finally there. So maybe this chapter may take 2 or maximum 3 more classes, including today. So within 2 or 3 classes, we will finish this series of Bhagavad Gita. I'll announce later, but we are starting a new series on Bhagavad Gita on September 21st. But this will be a very, very short series. Just 10 sessions, and it will not cover full Bhagavad Gita, but the essential parts of Bhagavad Gita. It will still be in sequence. It will still cover, we'll go in sequence, but we will cover only, we'll not be able to cover the full thing. So most important aspects will be covered. Anyway, I'll announce about that later. So chapter 18, conclusion, the perfection of renunciation or moksha sannyāsa yoga. So in this chapter, what is going on? So it's very important to understand. I like to sort of explain what the general theme of the chapter is, why it is being spoken at this place, what is the place of this chapter in the overall Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is not a random collection of jnana, of knowledge like a physics book. Now we'll study mechanics. Now we'll study electricity, magnetism. Now we'll study this. It's a sequence. It is a samvad between two personalities, two wonderful, great personalities. And there is a sequence and there is a overlying agenda. There is a overlying or underlying, whichever way you want to think about it, context, which is that the Mahabharat war is going to begin. So what is the overall theme of the chapter? Let's look at it. So this is the moment of truth, so to say, for Arjuna. The conversation has been going on between Krishna and Shri Krishna and Arjuna. About 1 hour of discussion has been going on. If you speak fluent Sanskrit, just like we speak English, then the entire conversation so far can be covered in about 1 hour. When devotees recite in meter, nicely, singing, it takes about 2.5 hours to recite Bhagavad Gita. So if you're just speaking fast, like a conversation, you can have this whole discussion in about 1 hour. So 1 hour after the bugles and conch shells have been blown, which we saw in chapter 1, you can't hold up the war, which is about to begin. And there were rules at that time, so you don't begin till the other person is ready. So it's holding up, but you cannot just hold up indefinitely either. These days there are no rules. You just press the button and the missiles shoot in the middle of the night when children are sleeping in their homes. So that's not the nature of the war at that time. But still, the conversation has been going on for some time and it needs to be wrapped up. So the time has come for Arjuna. Arjuna has asked all the possible questions that he wanted to ask, and he really needs to make up his mind what he wants to do, given the doubts he had 1 hour ago. 1 hour ago means in the first chapter. So this is the final opportunity for Arjuna to ask any remaining clarifications, any remaining questions. And really, the burden on Arjuna's shoulders is immense. He knows that if he walks away from the war will not happen. It's not like, oh, I will not participate in the war. You guys, remaining 4, Yudhishthir, Bhima, Nakul, Sahadev, you guys fight it, bye. I'll see you, if you're still alive. That is not the mood. That is not the understanding. And please remember, if Arjuna is walking away, Shri Krishna also will walk away. So, because Shri Krishna agreed only to be Arjuna's Sarathi. So, if these two personalities walk away, there is absolutely no chance that Yudhishthir Maharaj will continue with the war. So it's not about his own participation. It is about the entire war. Should it be allowed to happen or should it be called off? That is the question on Arjuna's head. So it's a huge responsibility, and this war was no less than a world war. Everybody that mattered was participating in the war. So I'm just trying to portray the magnitude of the decision that Arjuna has to make in this moment, similar to how he was in chapter 1. Now, of course, he has heard the whole Bhagavad Gita, 17 chapters so far, but this is his last. He really needs to move forward or step back. So he will end up asking the most fundamental question, which is what he began the Bhagavad Gita with. The same question he will ask in a slightly different way. Now, what is the link with previous chapters? The link with previous chapters is the following. So I'll go to the next slide first. That the chapter has basically two major sections, two very big sections. They could very well have been broken down into two chapters. The first one is the first 48 verses. And the next one is the next 30 verses. The first 48 verses are a direct answer to Arjuna's question. Arjuna will ask a question in the first verse. Basically, whether, please Krishna, tell me whether should I fight or should I walk out? Essentially, that is the question. Should I fight or walk away? The fighting has been slightly converted into a term known as tyāga. Now, this is, again, those terms tyāga and sannyāsa are used. But I'm telling you the meaning or the context in which those are used. And that's the whole point of the next several verses. But for now, to simplified version of tyāga is to fight. And sannyāsa is to not fight. Just take it in that way for now. So that is what Arjuna is asking. And Krishna answers that in the next 48 or 47 verses up to the verse number 48. And finally, then Krishna gives the real last concluding knowledge. And that is entirely based on spiritual factors. So, based on material factors, Shri Krishna answers in the first section. So, making these decisions based on material modes or material factors. And then Krishna switches and says, you should leave aside all of this materialism. Make your decision based on spiritual factors alone, only. So have the decisions based on, or do your analysis, but ultimately choose based on spiritual factors. So it is a discussion between decision or deciding and choosing. Decision and choice. There is a slight difference. Decision means it is impassionate. It is impersonal. So in corporations, in companies, we make decisions. We don't make choices. Sometimes these words are kind of, overlapped. Choice also means it includes sort of a personal liking, emotion, something that is non-material, that is non-analytical. And spirituality is non-analytical for sure. So choice is like that. So decisions versus choices. Analysis versus something that is beyond analysis. Now, in corporations or big companies, material companies, you cannot have personal emotions. They always tell you, keep your emotions separate or this or that, and, just go by analysis. That's fine. So that is the difference between decisions and choices. And that is at a very high level, distinction between the first part of the chapter and the second part of the chapter. Based on material considerations and analysis, and based on spiritual conditions or spiritual factors. Okay. So the spiritual factors have been heavily stressed in the previous chapters of the Bhagavad Gita. All the way from, we'll go back to chapter 13 to 17, there is a very heavy link or a very heavy spiritual bent in all of these chapters. For example, chapter 13 was all about Paramatma, or the presence of the Jivatma in the shadow or in the shelter of the Paramatma. And all of these topics are spiritual. Jivatma and Paramatma are spiritual. Chapter 14 is, one can argue, about the material modes. So it goes on and explains in detail how the material world is structured based on the fundamental elements known as sattva, rajas, and tamas. But at the end of the 14th chapter, what does Krishna say? Krishna says that you have to become guna atita. You have to go beyond these gunas. So he says, yes, it is composed of sattva, rajas, and tamas, but you should go beyond them. And then he says, Mam yo avyabhicārena bhakti yogena sevate. Sa gudan samatityaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. So one who does avyabhicharini bhakti and does bhakti yoga in this way, he gets to have brahma bhuyaya kalpate. He can go beyond the material realm to the spiritual realm. So that is the conclusion of chapter 14. Chapter 15 is all about Bhagavan. It's called Purushottama Yoga, or the yoga of the Supreme Person. So it is all about Bhagavan. And at the end of chapter 15, Krishna says that I am the same Paramatma, and one who knows this should do my bhajan with full bhava, with full feelings. So it is also having the complete spiritual conclusion. Chapter 16 also has a spiritual conclusion where the essence is on focus on Shastra, to become to rise above the asuric tendencies and go to Daivik tendencies. Chapter 17 we just read is also heavily spiritual, where Shri Krishna says that all activities should be spiritualized. There is no way that you can have faultless activities in the material world. There is no way. Even sattvic activities, first of all, they themselves are hard to do, but if you are able to do it, is still having its faults. Therefore, the only way to have faultless activities is to spiritualize the activities, and he gives the mantra Om Tat Sat to spiritualize it. And it's not just words, it is also the fact that you must spiritualize it with feeling. So Om Tat Sat is not just a mechanical chanting of Om Tat Sat, but with feelings. So all this input has already been provided, or Arjuna is aware of all this. And finally, he asks this question. So we will go to 18.1 with that background. Arjuna's final question. Okay. So this is the question in chapter or verse 1 of chapter 18. And again, I request you all to have your Bhagavad Gitas with you. So please keep them so that we can go through the verses and go through the meanings of the verses. So what is Arjuna asking? He has heard the entire Bhagavad Gita. He knows by now that bhakti is the highest. One should surrender or take shelter of Shri Krishna. And all these material pursuits are lower or do not matter. So he knows that. It's not that after hearing the entire Bhagavad Gita, he's asking the same question as before. So the difference in the question is the following. So he asks this question. Sannyāsasya mahabāho tattvam ichchāmi veditum tyāgasya cha rishikesha prithak keshi nishudana. So he is asking that, O mighty armed one, Mahabāho, I wish to understand the purpose of renunciation or tyāga. So tyāgasya, sannyāsasya, and tyāgasya. These are the two terms he uses. Sannyāsasya Mahabāho, tvam ichhami veditum, that I want to know it, and tyagasya. So please tell me the difference between these two aspects. Now, what does he mean by sannyas and tyāga? That is very important to understand. So he is aware, and spirituality is there in both. So neither of these terms are material. In chapter 1, when Arjuna wanted to quit, all his concerns were material. What were some of the concerns that Arjuna had? I don't want to commit sin. I want to be forgiving. I don't want to fight with those who I love, and so on. So these were the considerations that he was having. So committing sin is material, because if you commit sin, you will go in your future lives into lower species. If you commit pious activities, you'll go higher. But as we have studied in Bhagavad Gita, you remain in the material world. So it was a material concern. How can I fight against my loved ones? Love means what? According to body, according to your present birth. I am a Pandava. These are my cousins, Kauravas. We have the same chacha or tau, whatever, uncle. Arjuna used to call Dhritarashtra as uncle, and Kauravas used to call Pandavas as uncle. So they were cousins. Bhishma Pitamaha is the grandfather, based on the body. So it was all bodily. Here, tyāga. What does tyāga mean? So please hear carefully. Tyāga in this context means that performing the activity but having no claim on the result. Okay, that is tyāga. I have it in the future slides, I think. So I will explain it again, but that is tyāga. So it is also spiritual. Same thing as karmanyeva adhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. Do your duty. Karmanyeva adhikar asti. You have the right, or you should do your duty in simplified terms. Ma phaleshu. Ma means na. Ma means do not. Ma phaleshu. You must do your duty. Don't have the claim on the phal. That is the meaning of tyāga in this verse. So it is spiritual. If you don't claim the rights on the fruit, that means it is a karma. Activity that you are doing, you do not accumulate any pious or sinful reactions. You do not accumulate any reaction. It is nishkama karma yoga. And it is yoga because you are doing it for a superior result, which is spiritual. Therefore, it is yoga. What is sannyāsa? Expanded word for sannyāsa is karma sannyas. And karma sannyas means what? I will not even do the activity. Obviously, when you don't even do the activity, then that's fine. There will be no result and there will be nothing to claim. So that is also spiritual. Both are resulting in a spiritual result. But there is a difference in the approach. One is to do the activity, but relinquish claim on the result. One is to not do the activity and therefore not even produce the result. I hope you are all following. So this is the huge progress that Arjuna has made. And these are both spiritual terms. And therefore, this question is very different from chapter 1 question, or the chapter 1 dilemma that Arjuna had. All right. So I hope this context is clear, and then we will move forward. Yes, Krishna Murari Prabhu.
Guruji, so but sannyasi also does job, na? He may not do job in the material world. Tyaga means, what I understand, I may be wrong, that leaving everything away. Sannyas means you don't do material activities, but sannyasi also has a lot of occupational duties for sannyas also. It may not be material duties, but like he has to preach, he has to give classes, he has to do sankirtan, he has to roam around the world and give this. So tyaga and sannyas in that way, how will we reconcile this?
Yes. So you're overlapping the term sannyāsa with sannyāsi. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So sannyāsi is actually, so like we see Srila Prabhupada or our acharyas in Bhakti Yoga, they are actually doing tyāga. They are not doing karma sannyas. That's why I said the expanded version of sannyas here is karma sannyas, where you do not even perform any activity. So all our acharyas, including present day sannyasis, they are in the category of tyāga. The sannyas, karma sannyas category is unheard of, or completely is extremely rare. This is about a person who is sitting in samadhi and not even doing any activity. And therefore there is no fruit, and therefore there is no even any question of claim to a fruit. Okay. So
Is my understanding correct?
from the context, let me finish. From the context of Arjuna, when he is about to fight this war, a simplified version of Arjuna's question is, should I fight the war? Obviously, I'm not fighting the war at this point to get justice, to get sort of 5 villages or the kingdom, to get name, fame, or anything. He is asking Shri Krishna's advice, should I fight? Of course, I will not have any claim on the results. Of course. That is a given. This is chapter 18, not chapter 1. So, of course, Arjuna is aware of all the 17 chapters and the knowledge he has gained. So, he is not going to fight in any case for the material benefits of the war, which is kingdom, name, fame, victory, wealth, property, whatever. He's anyway going to fight it in a dispassionate way. But the alternate is to not fight at all. And that is falling in the category of sannyāsa. That I will take yuddha sannyas. I am inventing the term right now, yuddha sannyas, but that's what he means. Should I fight the war? Should I do yuddha? And of course, not have any claim on the results? Or should I take yuddha sannyas? Of course, he will go eat, he will breathe, he will walk, he will do all those activities. So he's not talking about the karma sannyas aspect, but from Arjuna's standpoint, he's talking about yuddha sannyas. But what we need to understand, and this is what I will clarify in the next few slides, and Shri Krishna will explain in the next few verses, day to day, we may be faced with such choices or such, forks in our life, to do certain activities or to not do certain activities, or to take certain steps or just let go. Okay? That is the dilemma that many people face. Brahmachari, I'll give you a very practical example, may face a dilemma. Should I get married? Now, a brahmachari means who is in bhakti, who is like, who has heard everything, and in 90% of the classes, we discuss, how all the problems of marriage, this happened. Then the person may think, you know what, I'll not even get married. And, I'll take grihastha sannyas, whatever. Sannyas means to completely avoid the activity itself, and therefore not have to bear the consequences. Or perform the activity, but not be attached to positive or negative results, but always remain fixed in bhakti. So perform the activity in the mood of bhakti versus not perform an activity. And it's not, sannyas doesn't just mean samadhi. That is the highest state. But in day-to-day life, people are faced with these situations. Somebody may have a disease. Somebody may say, oh, Krishna will protect. Now there is a disease, there is a valid cure. Doctor has diagnosed it. It's not like a complex disease. Let's say it is tuberculosis. It has a cure. You take a tablet, it will cure it. 100 years ago, it was a deadly disease. There was no cure. But today there is a cure. Why not take a tablet? Or somebody will say, no, if Krishna wants to protect me, he will protect me. I will not take the ready-made 100% sure material solution in front of my eyes. I won't take it. Somebody may be faced with that kind of a dilemma. What should I do? This was a big dilemma at the time of COVID vaccine. Let's forget, or let's keep aside, maybe there are some conspiracy theories about whether COVID vaccine is good or bad or not. But when the COVID vaccine came out, there was a legitimate discussion, should devotees take it or not? And I have a video from many years ago, 5 years or 4 years, whenever the vaccine came out, on this topic. So should one take the vaccine or should we not? Similar kind of question, tyāga, sannyāsa. So this chapter for devotees or for followers of Bhagavad Gita helps to understand such decisions. It's not always a decision of, should I just live my life or should I take samadhi? Go into a cave in the Himalayas and take samadhi. That's just the extreme. There are 10,000 daily situations that devotees face, and that is what this chapter answers. And that is also what Arjuna is trying to get answered, just in the context of whether to fight or to take yuddha sannyas. Go ahead.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Amazing. Prabhuji, now karma sannyasa and this I understood. Just sorry, I'm taking your time, but isn't it? So when Lord Caitanya was in ecstasy and he was in the sea and the fisherman caught him, can we say that is karma sannyasa, or that would not be, like, if you can extend that no activity he was doing, that can be said as karma sannyasa, or it can't be?
That is Bhagwan. So Bhagwan's Leela is beyond all of this. So I cannot comment on it. But if you really want to put it in one or the other, then it would be like that is real sannyas, the true samadhi.
Super.
Many devotees enter into that stage. And our Goswamis enter into that stage and see the
today's date also.
What?
In today's date also, some people can get into that stage.
Of course, why not? Why not? And that is how they see the pastimes with their own eyes. And they are very real. They are not dreams or imaginations. Like I imagine, oh, when I go to Disneyland, I will do this ride. When I go to, this Govinda's restaurant, I will eat pakoras and gulab jamun. It's not that either. And it is not a dream either. It's very real for them in the state of samadhi, when they are actually face to face with Bhagavan and sitting and seeing these pastimes, and then all their physical faculties, all their bodily functions come to a standstill. And that is the state of samadhi or sannyas. They are performing no external or material activity at that point. Even the mind is shut off. It is at the level of the soul. This is the sushupti stage, which occurs in our case, normal day-to-day people, in what is known as deep sleep or dreamless sleep. But we don't see Krishna in that state. We may dream about Krishna, may come in many people's dreams once, twice, or many times. That is fine. But in the sleep, sushupti or the dreamless sleep state is the closest that ordinary people get to this state of samadhi.
But Prabhuji, in today's days, you made the discussion so more ecstatic. So sorry, I will not interrupt any further. But in today's date also, you are saying it's possible that person can enter the samadhi, and you have seen some practical examples of that, or you have experience of some people who have in front of you gone in that stage or experienced that. I mean, this is like amazing news for me. This is possible today. It's like very hope-giving, bro. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
It is very much possible. That much I can say. Okay. All right. So that is thank you, Prabhuji, for asking. So that is the distinction that is being asked. And I explained what is the relevance of it for Arjuna and what is the relevance to us both. So let's move forward. And then the question that Arjuna is asking, which one is better? Okay. Or what is what should I do? I wish to understand these two terms. So before we go forward, I want to add some more context to the discussion so that you'll better understand it. So, what happened? So first we must understand the concept of adhikāra or eligibility. Adhikar means eligibility. And eligibility in this case, what I'm trying to explain is not binary. You may say, am I eligible to get the degree in a college or not? So that is eligibility. And they will look at your grade report and say whether you passed all the subjects or not. Eligibility means pass all the subjects, you get the degree, or you failed any subject or whatever may be the rules, you will not get the degree. That is binary. But in other cases, there could be scenarios that you may be eligible for some levels. So based on like an interview or something for a job, they can say, hey, you are eligible for this type of job. I will give you grade 5. Somebody who does much better in the interview or has more experience can say, the company can say, I will give you grade 6 salary. Somebody may say, I will get grades, or yeah, we will give grade 7 salary. So that is eligibility based on, it's not binary, it could be based on levels. So similarly, the decisions, the results we come up with, or the answers that we come up with as the decision or of the decision process are also based on our level. What should I do? Should I do this or that? And in some cases, there are multiple options. Should I choose this option or that option or that option? So how do we make the decision? And there is something called adhikāra, adhikāra of the person, which means the eligibility or the level of the person, level of qualification. And these are at material level. And it is all about making the right decision, or the decision that is appropriate at your level of advancement. This is very important, at your level of advancement. And I have some examples to talk about in the next slide. A very simple example could be, like we were just talking, sannyāsa. For a yogi of a very, very high caliber, extremely high caliber, the recommended level of sannyāsa could be to go in the Himalayas and sit in the cave and just meditate on Bhagavan or meditate on Omkara, Om, or whatever. But for a much lower person, the level of sannyāsa could be that try to do it sitting in your home for 5 minutes every day. Just do that. So somebody, the guru or whoever, could give that instruction that for you, you do this. If you are doing it, very good. You are at a sannyas level according to your eligibility. So it is all about making the decision that is appropriate at your level of advancement across many factors, across the material gunas, across how to do bhakti, across how to, in all areas of one's life, how to become more spiritual, etc. So the point is, one size fits all. One size fits all is not the answer. There is no one size fits all. It is all dependent on the practitioner, on the sadhak. So now let us take some examples. What are the levels? Now, very practical, like when one is traveling. Now, one is a devotee. When they are at home or there is a temple nearby or whatever, it's very easy to eat prasādam or food that is sāttvika and meets all the criteria or rules. You take bath with a very good consciousness. You cook the bhoga, offer it to Bhagavan. and then you honor it, and the ingredients, everything that is used is completely sattvic. When you are traveling, what to do? Now, there could be many levels depending on one's adhikāra, what is the eligibility. Now, if I say one highest level is if you are traveling, don't eat. That is called prasāda sannyāsa, isn't it? Don't eat. Easy, no problem. You will not commit any mistakes. Just don't eat. But is it practical? It's not practical for many people, certainly not practical for a fat person like me, right? I get very, what you call, hangry, hungry plus whatever. It becomes hangry when I don't get food, or when I'm, mind becomes agitated. So there are people like that. You cannot survive. Another next level could be, okay, you try to stay hungry till you find prasad. Go to a temple, or don't travel to places where there are no temples or no prasad facility. So it's like your electric car. Try to take the route which has charging stations on the way. Don't take a route which goes through the forests, and your car may run out of battery. That is another level. Third level could be that you carry something with you, or you eat only fruits outside. Fruits are available, bananas, apples, oranges, whatever. So that is another level. You get to eat, but you cannot eat, pakoras and puris. Another level could be that, okay, as long as it is cooked in a proper way in a restaurant which does not, serve non-vegetarian. I'm just making up these levels, by the way. They are not coming from Shastra or any place. I'm just saying, take it from a sattvic place, purchase it. It may not be cooked by a Brahmana. It may not be cooked by a devotee. It's okay. At least the place is sattvic. So there is something in the consciousness of the person. You take it in your mind, you offer it to Bhagwan, and you eat it. So that is another level. And then another level could be, okay, whichever restaurant is there, maybe they are selling meat or non-veg. You take vegetarian things from that restaurant and you eat it. So as you can see, there are all these levels that are possible. So what are you most comfortable with? Do not try to imitate others. Oh, that Prabhuji, he fasts for the whole travel. Now, you may try to fast, but you will be completely miserable. You will, be hangry. You'll have an extremely, and you may end up giving up bhakti. Oh, bhakti is too tough. I will not do. So do it at your level. You talk to your seniors. If you have a guru, talk to your guru. Decide. Just like I will give an example, a doctor has two patients. Both have diabetes, same level of diabetes. But to one person, he says, you can eat sweets once in a week. To another person, he says, you can eat sweets once in a year. They have same diabetes. Why the doctor is giving two separate advice? It's not because of the diabetes or the science. It is because of the adhikāra of the person. One person may not be able to live without sweets at all. So the doctor is trying to regulate, bring it down to once a week instead of daily. The other person can easily live without sweets. So he's saying, okay, on your birthday, you can have it. That's okay. Because they will not give up the treatment. The most important thing is to stay within bhakti, not give up bhakti. So this is one example. Another example that came to me was running a restaurant business. What kind of, I'm running a restaurant, I need to earn money. So of course, this is a devotee trying to run a restaurant, but it is said you should never sell prasādam. Prasādam should be given free. So how will he run a business? Business means there has to be some money. So what does he do? These are real questions that came to me. People asked me this question. What should I do? Should I charge money or should I just give it free? I said, if you are a Karodpati, if you are Ambani, you can easily run you can run 100 restaurants and completely free. In India, we call it langar. Langar means like free food. Come and eat. Everybody is welcome to come and eat as much as they want. That is level 1. But you need to have adhikāra. You need to be Ambani or some rich person, Bill Gates, to do that. If you are middle class person, you cannot do that. You're doing it also for a business. So if you have less adhikāra, you can say that we will give free. Here is donation box. You can put donation if you want. If you have such a big heart and you are willing to take loss, someday you may get more donation, someday you may get less donation. So if you can accept that risk, then do that. Next level can be you put a price and you put a note at the bottom. If you cannot pay, then pay as much as you want. We will still give you the prasad. But here is the rate chart. If you can pay, the full thali costs $10. But if you cannot pay, pay whatever you can. And there can be so many other levels. Last level can be, yes, we are giving prasad, it's sāttvika, all those benefits are there, but the rate is $10. If you can pay, pay. If you cannot pay, go somewhere else. I cannot tolerate the loss. There can be all the levels. What are you comfortable with? Finally, which milk to buy? Another example, somebody asked me, what kind of milk? Ahimsa milk. Now, ahimsa milk is the best, but there are levels. Now, sometimes ahimsa just means that the cows are treated properly when they are giving milk. After they have stopped giving milk, they are sold off to somebody. What that person does with the cow, we don't care. But you still get to call it ahimsa. Now, you know what happens to a cow which does not give milk. I don't need to say. Okay. So is that ahimsa? At the highest level, the best is you have your own cow. In olden days, many years ago, or many hundreds of years ago, every family had a cow. Godan was a very big dan. One of the things that is given in charity is cow, because everyone is supposed to have a cow. So you have your own cow, but best. And then there can be so many levels. Ahimsa, what kind of, then go find out what he does, what that person does. Go find out the full truth, and then you give him business, or don't buy milk from him. And finally, there can be all the kind of levels. One level can be to purchase in the ordinary grocery stores. We have grass-fed organic milk. Then you just have organic milk. Finally, you drink any milk, non-organic, whatever, etc., etc. Okay, non-cruelty, cruelty. You can have various levels. So what is your adhikāra? What is your level? According to that, you act. So nobody should act beyond their level. One should try to act within their level, but within the framework of bhakti. Okay? And that is going to be a big aspect of this chapter. At the end of the first section, Shri Krishna will tell Arjuna, don't go beyond your adhikāra. And in this case, Arjuna's case, the adhikāra is he's a kshatriya. Whether he likes it or not, if he leaves today, tomorrow he will come back and fight. His blood will boil. How did I leave these guys alone? How did I leave them alive? Or if Yudhishthir chose, okay, Arjun, you go, we will fight. Immediately, Arjun will anyway come back and fight to help his brothers. Whatever may be the reason. But like it or not, Arjun will fight. So it is not within his adhikāra, Krishna says, that to not fight. So you better fight with the proper understanding. Don't do karma sannyāsa, do karma phala tyāga. It's not karma tyāga, karma phala tyāga versus karma sannyāsa. So that is going to be that's how this discussion is relevant to Bhagavad Gita. That's how this discussion is relevant to our lives. I hope you understand that. Yes, Raj Vidya Prabhu or Ragatmika Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Guruji. Guruji, this ye yathā maṁ prapadyante and levels, I mean, will the levels be considered as higher?
Wait, don't. I'll let you finish the question, but I'll just say ye yathā maṁ prapadyante is about Shri Krishna's reciprocation with those who are approaching or trying to approach him. So it's a whole, the verse is spoken for a whole different context. But anyway, go ahead.
So I mean, directly proportional to the level of surrender is the reciprocation of Lord Krishna. So, and the levels that we are talking about now, you're saying that two different levels and two different dimensions of levels.
I think I understand what you're saying. Let's take the example of finding prasadam to eat while traveling. Okay. Now, are you trying to say that one who, let us say, doesn't eat while traveling at all, the highest level? According to my explanation, let's say that's the highest level. Krishna will love him more or reciprocate more versus a person who, eats in a restaurant, in a sāttvika restaurant, but eats. So Krishna will love him less because he didn't go all the way. Is that your question?
Yes, Guruji.
Yeah. So that is exactly what Shri Krishna answers. He knows our capacity. All right. He knows our capacity. It is about us to realize our capacity. We try to overshoot. Okay. We think we are big boss. We can do it. I can travel, no problem. 3 days I will not eat. Within 3 hours, the stomach will start, chūhe kudne lagenge pet mein. The stomach will feel hungry, and then all the bhakti will go and take a back seat, and you will curse yourself. Why am I doing this and that and that and that? Okay. So Krishna is never happy with such a decision which is beyond one's adhikāra. Krishna wants us that within our eligibility, we should do the best. So we should realize what is our eligibility or what is our qualification and try to do the maximum possible within our qualification. All right. And that is equal. That is for us, that is highest, and Krishna's reciprocation will be the highest for us. I will give 2 examples. One just a regular example and one a direct example from Shastra. Regular example is, let us say you earn $2,000 a month. Okay. And you give donation to a temple or acharya $1,000 every month. Okay. Another person is earning $10,000 a month, and he is also giving 1,000 every month. Who do you think Krishna will reciprocate better? They are both giving 1,000.
Yeah, but one giving 50% of the income.
So it is based on the adhikāra. Okay. Isn't it? Much higher. The 10,000 person should be giving 5,000 or at least 2,000 or something. He is being miserly in that sense. So it is not about the absolute. It is in relevance to your adhikāra. Shastric example, which I quote many, many times, is when the bridge was being built by the Vanar Sena, Hanumanji, and for Lanka. Hanumanji was carrying big, big mountains, and squirrels were carrying what? Particles of sand. Isn't it? So whom should Bhagwan Ram love more, Hanumanji or the squirrels? Whom should he love more? The one who is carrying bigger rocks, isn't it? But what did he do? What did he say? He
And
said,
equal.
for me, both of you are equal. Squirrel is doing the maximum as per its capacity. You are doing the maximum as per your capacity. No difference. Okay, we shouldn't cheap out. We shouldn't chicken out. We should do the best according to our adhikāra. So I hope that answers your question, and that will attract the maximum reciprocation from Krishna. Okay? Krishna's reciprocation will be maximum when we do the maximum, not absolutely, but in the context of our adhikāra.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
All right. So now we'll go through a little faster. I hope the context is clear. So, what is sannyāsa? So I have already explained. Sannyāsa means give up the material action itself. So in 18.2, that is what is being said. Kamyanam karmanam nyasam sannyasam kavayo viduhu sarva karma phala tyāgam prahus tyāgam vichakshanah. The giving, so Krishna is telling the difference between the two. Shri Krishna, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, said, the giving up of activities that are based on material desire is what great learned men called as sannyāsa, the renounced order of life, or sannyāsa. Again, it's sannyāsi, but that is sannyāsa. And giving up the results of the activities is what the wise call as tyāga. So you can see here direct kamyanam karmanam nyasam sannyasam kavayo viduhu. So basically it is karma sannyas. Give up the karma itself. But what is tyāga? Sarva karma tyāgam. No, there is a word which is inserted in the middle. Sarva karma phala tyāgam. That is tyāga. All right. So that is the difference. So sannyas means give up the karma itself. And then no need to worry about adverse results. What to speak of adverse results? There will not be any results itself, which means like don't eat while traveling, don't drink milk at all. Then you don't have to worry whether it is ahimsa milk or himsa milk. Don't drink milk. Or don't run a business. Right? Go take a job or whatever it may be. Just give up the activity. So some of these examples may be practical, but some of these examples may be very impractical, especially in Kali Yuga. And these are just simple examples, okay? Very examples I can talk about in a class, public class. There are the very deeper examples in one's heart, which are confidential, which cannot be discussed publicly. Those are the real ones. These are just illustrative examples, much easy to talk about publicly. Some people may have much, deeper questions based on their situation. Should I give up the job or should I keep working? Should I, so many things, maybe, relationship is not working out. Should I end the relationship? Should I continue in the relationship? So many, deeper questions can be there based on specific situation. And the situation, the details, the context, the specific aspects of the situation matter a lot. And therefore, it cannot be answered in a book. You have to understand the concepts, the theory, and make your own decision or get help from somebody else who knows you, who you trust, and who understands the concepts well. So this is how it works. So much of it from a sannyas perspective is not practical in Kali Yuga. Just like saying don't eat while traveling. It's not practical. What is tyāga? Tyāga is do not give up your duty or action. Do your duty or take the action. What you should give up instead is the results or the fruits of action. This is what is called as, in the verse, what is it called? sarva karma phala tyāgam. So what is the tyāga? Is focus is phala, not karma. It's not karma tyāga, it's karma phala tyāga. Same as karmanyeva adhikaraste, do your duty, ma phaleshu kadachan. But don't claim, don't have claim on the result. That is exactly what Sri Krishna says in 18.3. That I'll just, for sake of time, we'll have 1.5 hour class today. So I'll try to end at 6:30 or 6:40 my time. So another 30 minutes. Some learned men declare that all kinds of fruitive activities should be given up as faulty. Yet other sages maintain that acts of sacrifice, charity, penance, etc. should never be abandoned. So what is being said is that sannyas is to give up your duty or activity considering that it has faults. But in the 17th chapter we just discussed, it is not possible to do any activity without faults. Even the slightest activity will have fault. So sannyasa is completely faultless just because you're not committing the activity at all. But is it possible? No, it's not possible. Therefore, tyāga is better, and Sri Krishna is saying one should do tyāga. Pious material activities should be done. But first aspect is no attachment to result. And second aspect, which is not part of this verse, but it is part of the overall understanding, is to spiritualize those activities. Even if you don't have attachment to results, there will be some faults in simply performing the activity. The biggest fault in performing any activity, or especially pious activity, that is what is being talked about here, is to claim the result. That is the biggest fault. Then you get bound. Then you have to enjoy the results of these actions in the future. So that is the biggest fault. But even if you give up the attachment or the claim on the results, the activity itself may have some faults. What will you do about that? So here Sri Krishna is saying that no need to give up activities, do the activities, but remove the biggest fault. What is the biggest fault? Claim on the phal. Remove that. Don't have a claim or a mentality of the claim that I did it, that this is mine, इस पे मेरा अधिकार है, ये तो मेरा अधिकार है. I studied hard, so I came first. How come there was no way I could have come second, or there was no way I could have failed. I studied so hard, I have full right on the first position. That means you are like heavily claiming the result. Okay? So that should not be done. But do the activities. And even though the activity may be faulty. So that is what is being said here. And this was exactly the topic of the previous, the 4 things. Remember the acronym? FSAC or KSAC. Karma, sacrifice, yajna. A for austerity, tapa. And C for charity, dana. That is exactly what is here. Tyāgyam doshavad ityeke karma prahur manishinaha yajna dana tapah karma na tyāgyam iti chāpare. So na tyāgyam, one should not give up these activities. Now Arjuna here is not here to do yajna dana tapa karma. He is here to do yuddha. But in this verse, Sri Krishna is speaking to us, to those who are reading Bhagavad Gita for their life, that these activities should not be given up. One may think, Hare, what was the thing about dana? That you should give it to the deshe, kale, cha, patre, cha, I cannot find any good person. Somebody was asking question, what if I cannot find anybody? What to do? So I will just keep the money in my pocket. I will enjoy. And the external reason is it can turn into that. Oh, I could not find the right person at the right place at the right time, so I didn't give any charity. My answer was, anyway, give charity. There will be fault anyway. So why are you worried about the fault? And all faults can be removed by spiritualizing it. So don't worry about the fault. And I quoted that verse. Mantratas, what is that? Mantratas, tantratas. I remember that, but right now I'm forgetting.
Chidram deshakala vastuta.
Chidram deshakala arha vastutaha sarvam karoti nischidram anusankirtanam tava. Thank you, Meera Mataji. Thank you. So, by wherever Sankirtan of Bhagwan is occurring, just in your mind, sincerely chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and give dan. So, Shri Krishna is saying here, you must do these activities, which means you must fight. Don't worry about the faults of fighting. Sin will come, my cousins will die, so on and so forth. Okay? Or, oh, I will eat, prasādam cooked by a non-devotee. It's best to eat by devotee. But if you cannot control your belly, if you are hungry, if you are not able to do your japa properly for 2 days because you're hungry, what's the point? Better to eat from a sāttvika. That is my level. I'm telling you my personal level. Me and my wife, we agreed if we travel, first priority, first of all, we travel to only, we don't go to Las Vegas or, we have stopped going to all these places many years ago. Before coming into Krishna Bhakti, yes, we went to Las Vegas once. But now we try to go mostly to 99% to holy places. And it's no problem to find Sattvik Prasad there. Prasad, not only Sattvik, but Prasad. No problem. But yes, if you do go to some places, like we went to a marriage and this and that. Now, many people already know if I'm coming, me and my wife, they will make special arrangement for us. They will, make everything nicely and ready. If that is not possible in some cases, yes, we do eat. Or sometimes, if children come home or whatever, we go eat in a Sattvik restaurant where they don't cook meat or anything. And when the food comes, mentally we offer it and we eat it. And yes, if I'm dying of hunger, I will eat at a place even where non-veg is being cooked. Okay, before that, I will first try to eat fruits. I'll go to a grocery store, just take fruits or some bread, butter, or just survive on that. Even if that is not available, if nothing, last option, yes, I can eat something vegetarian in a non-veg place. I think I did that once in last 10 years or something, once or twice I have done. In my company cafeteria, now I have to go to work. So company cafeteria has non-veg. It cooks. I only take salad. So I eat there, yes. I go to this cafeteria where non-veg is cooked. When my wife, I have to leave sometimes very early. And she has not had the chance to cook prasad so early. So I eat in the cafeteria, but only salad. Now you can think it can be contaminated. Maybe, same people are using the same hands or who are serving or putting the salad or whatever. They take care. But yes, so that's where I have drawn the line. All right. So it is all about, I'm just giving this example. It's not a very high bar, but one should set their bar according to one's adhikāra. I cannot stay hungry. I am not somebody who can stay hungry beyond a certain point. If that was the case, I would have been very lean and thin and very smart and handsome. All right. So let's go to next. So there are three kinds of tyāga that Sri Krishna is going to describe. And in the mode of, the three are in the sāttvika, rājasika, and tāmasika tyāga. Okay. So what is tyāga? So first of all, Sri Krishna has said, tyāga is better than sannyāsa. All right. That is the first point. Don't try to do sannyāsa, because usually it will be outside your adhikāra, outside your eligibility or your qualification. And no need of doing sannyāsa either. You must do your action, your activity. And then within that, there are certain levels. So sāttvika. So we'll not go through every verse. I'll just summarize here. Sāttvika tyāga is to perform the duty without any attachment to the result. So obviously sāttvika tyāga is what is recommended for devotees, which means no attachment to the result, and you are performing what needs to be done. It also means no despisement to the work also. So whatever needs to be done, you do it according to the situation. Whatever is the need at that time, you do it, or whatever you have committed, or whatever may be the situation, you do the activity. Don't shy away from the activity. Rājasika means to give up the activity or the duty because it is troublesome or uncomfortable or some other reason, and then you try to lie about it to yourself that I am doing this tyāga, or I am giving up the activity because I am trying to go towards sannyāsa. So because it is troublesome, don't avoid the activity, do the activity. Then that will make you go to sāttvika. Rājasika means those who give up the activity because it is too troublesome, and they say that it is, I am just giving up the activity because I do not want to attract the results. And tāmasika tyāga is to give up the activity or the duty due to illusion, some kind of illusion that the activity itself is useless, or I just have better things to do, which is to be lazy and sleepy and not do anything. So these are the three levels of tyāga. Of course, one should be in the sāttvika mode, and beyond sāttvika, one should spiritualize the activity. Okay. So in 18.5, Sri Krishna directly is saying that yajna dana tapah karma na tyājyam karyam eva tat yajyo danam tapaschaiva pavanani manishinam. So not only he is saying that this yajna, dana, tapa and karma should be done. It is to be done even by manishinaha. Manishinaha means either it could mean great devotees or spiritualists or the wise people. Manishina is used in many places in Bhagavad Gita, but the general context is that even those who are aware of the spiritual path, or devotees in this case, so they should do yajna, dana, tapa and karma. So Krishna is always saying sannyas is not the answer. What is the answer? Tyāga is the answer. You must do your duty according to your level, which will come later. That has not come up yet. but it will come up later according to your adhikāra or level. Okay. Next, so in 8.11, Shri Krishna is directly going to say that tyāga is better. So let's read. (18.11) Nahi deha bhrita shakyam tyaktum karmani asheshatah yastu karma phalatyagi sa tyagi iti abhidhiyate. It is indeed impossible for an embodied being to give up all activity. Impossible. But he who renounces the fruits of action is called one who has truly renounced. Okay. So, tyaktum karmani asheshatah. That it is not possible at all. Asheshatah means to the complete extent, 100%. So that is sannyas. That do not perform any activity to the last level. Don't even breathe. Is it possible? Not possible. So Shri Krishna is directly saying here, nahi deha bhrita shakyam. As long as you have a deha, which means as long as you are in material world. If you are spiritualized, anyway, everything is spiritual. If you're in a spiritual body, but everybody in the material world has a deha. So which basically means it is not possible in the material world, especially in Kali Yuga. In Satyug, maybe it is possible 99%. It is possible. In Kali Yuga, it is not possible even 1%. Okay. And then Krishna says, but. So this is an important verse. Wherever you see but tu, it becomes important. You should do a global search on but or tu and mark all those verses as important. Yah tu karma phalatyagi. So, but who is a karma phalatyagi? The focus is on word phal, not on karma. Or karma phal is a combined word. Karma phalatyagi. One who renounces the phal of the karma. Sa tyagi isi abhidhiyate. He is a real tyagi. I love, in other words, Krishna says, I really appreciate such a person. To answer the previous question, who does Krishna love more? So, whenever you do any activity, the results or the fruits will be there. One should give up the claim and the credit. This aspect of credit will come really soon in the next few verses. That who is the creditor, not the creditor, but creditor, not like creditor, like money credit, but who all need to receive the credit. We think we are the only ones who need to receive the credit. So that is a big reason why one should give up the credit. Okay. So this is the best approach for people of Kali Yuga, is to do karma phal tyāga, not karma sannyāsa. I hope that is clear. Okay. All right. Then finally, Shri Krishna says, hey, sannyas is also great. No problem. So 18.12 is that, what is 18.12 saying? For one who is not renounced the threefold fruits of action, desirable and undesirable, desirable, undesirable, and mixed, accrue after death. But those who are in the renounced order of life have no such result to suffer or enjoy. So Krishna is glorifying sannyasa here, saying, hey, there is no even result to suffer or enjoy. That's great. But it's very, very hard to do. And for those who are not renounced, the fruits will be there. the secret is not in avoiding the production of fruits. The secret is in avoiding the claim on the fruits. So in this verse, Sri Krishna is saying fruit will be there. But it is also wonderful if you don't produce fruits, which is karma sannyas. All right. So sannyasi, and here to answer the previous question, this is not talking here in this slide. I have sannyasis. Do not have to worry about giving up the fruits since they accrue none. This sannyasi is just one who is doing sannyas according to the current context, karma sannyas. This is not talking about present sannyasis, like Srila Prabhupada was a sannyasi, and we have so many other sannyasis. They were tyagis. They are karma phala tyagis. We call them sannyas because that is the ashram, sannyasa ashram. But it is not karma sannyas. Okay, Sri Krishna himself is not advocating karma sannyas in Bhagavad Gita. So Srila Prabhupada is a pakka 100% follower of Bhagavad Gita. So he's a karma phala tyagi. It's called sannyasi, but here the word sannyasi is referring to those who are doing karma sannyas. And that is impossible. That's what I have said in this blue box. Is it possible to do no action even for 1 minute? Not possible. Yeah. Okay. So that is a real sannyasi, the one who is like, in samadhi stage. In samadhi stage, no breathing, no activity, no action. If you want to see the definition of samadhi, you should look at 5.27 and 28. Chapter 5, verses 27, 28 give the who is in the state of samadhi. And it is not possible. Okay. Then we go into another topic. So we'll, I think, discuss this topic. Let's see how big it is. Then we will stop. So another few slides and important topic. So this 13 to 17 is talking about the 5 factors of action, 5 causes of action and causes of the result or success in the result. So there are 5 factors. So, O mighty armed Arjuna. So number 13 is saying, Shri Krishna is saying, according to Vedanta, there are 5 causes for the accomplishment of all action. Now learn of these from me. Okay. This is in Sankhya. Okay. Panchaitani mahabaho karanani nibodhame sankhye kritante proktani siddhaye sarvakarmanam. So there are panchaitani, 5 karanani, causes. So 5 causes of action of sankhye kritante proktani. The Sankhya says this. So in the siddhaye sarva karmanam, in the successful, siddhi means it's not the samadhi siddhi, but siddhaye sarva karmanam means in the successful accomplishment. Siddhaye means accomplishment of any action. Sarva karmanam. So what are these 5? Are in the next verse. Adhishthanam tatha karta karanam cha prithagdvidham vividhash cha prithak cheshta daivam chaivatra panchamam. So these are the 5 ones here that I have shown in the slide. And there is some color coding here. So 5 are adhishthanam, the body or the environment, the situation, okay, the environment. So for example, I have shown that example of a farmer who is sowing seeds. Okay. So what is the success for a farmer? What is the success? Sundar Madhav Prabhu, I'll ask you since you have your video on. What is the success for a farmer?
Good crop.
Good crop. Very nice. Okay. So ultimately, the farmer can claim success if he has a wonderful bonanza crop. So what is important for that? First one, Sundar Madhav Prabhu, fertile.
Cultivate or what is called?
No, fertile land.
Yeah, fertilizer, land, yeah, right.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Now there is, many places, as we know, where the land is more fertile than the others. Okay, what kind of minerals, what kind of situation, and therefore, for certain places, based on the land, they sow the crop. That this crop is good for this land or that land or that land. So that whole thing is adhisthana. So if you try to grow a crop which is not going to grow well in a particular land, then you cannot blame it on anybody else. So the situation has to be right. Then it is karta. Karta means the individual who is performing the action. Then karanam. Karanam means the senses or the tools that have been given to you, your capabilities. Then there is the cheshta, which is the effort or the endeavor or the hard work that you put in. And finally, there is daivam or Bhagavan. So there are two things to note here. So there are these 5 causes. So think about any action, whether you are studying and you pass the exam or you fail the exam, or whatever it may be, you are, playing a cricket match. You win or lose the championship. It has all these 5 factors. Only 2 out of these are in our control, 2 out of 5. What is it? Ourselves, which means our desire to do the activity and, make certain decisions. Here is how I will do this, that, whatever the main decisions. This is the land I have been given. I am living in this country. I just cannot change the land. So you use your intelligence to put the right crop. If you put the wrong crop, it will not grow. So it is your intelligence, your choice as to what you sow in that to get a good crop. And then the effort. You have to get up early in the morning and go and sow the seeds. You cannot miss the sowing season. And you have to sow the seeds properly, nicely. So that is karta and cheshta. Now, other things are not in your control, like adhishthanam, the kind of land, the kind of water, the kind of seeds you get, very important, all those things. And the capabilities, what you have been provided with. Maybe if you have more money, you can dig a well. But if you don't have money, you have to depend on the rain. Now that becomes daivam. So that's not a good example. But if you don't have money, maybe you cannot dig a well, or if you don't have the right, advice, you don't have the right technology, you don't have the right science, whatever is the capabilities, then that may also affect the output. And finally, there is daivam, like rain, for example, or some other thing, some disease comes to the crops, the crop dies or whatever. All this is daivam. So one aspect to consider is not everything. We are not the only cause. There are other causes in the success that bring about success of the result. And the second aspect is, one of these causes is spiritual. The remaining 4 are material. So Bhagavan is the spiritual cause. So even if you are big demon like Hiranyakashipu or Ravan, you can control all the 4. Ravan can control when the rain comes, not rain. In that sense, rain, yes, because it's also material. Rain is given by Indra. So one can control all the material causes, but still one cannot control the spiritual cause, which is Bhagavan. So ultimately, even the most powerful person is not in control of the results. That is the point. So Shri Krishna is saying the whole theme is that don't have any claim on the result. And by the way, you even cannot have claim on the result because it's not in your control. If you are not materially super powerful, then only two things are in your control. Even if you are fully powerful, only four things are in your control. At least one is not in your control, if not more. That is the point of showing these five. That how out of control is the fruit or the successful production of the fruit. How out of your control it is. That is the point. Okay. So therefore, Shri Krishna says that the point is you are not the only doer. You can think I am the only doer and therefore have a claim on the result, but that's not correct. So all actions, whether you do by body, mind, or words, are governed by these five factors. All actions, whether you are playing a cricket match, whether you are studying for an exam, or whether you are a farmer trying to get a good crop. An intelligent person sees all these five factors. Unintelligent person sees only few factors, like I am the only one. I am the only cause. What else is the cause? I did it. I am the doer. So such a person is called unintelligent. So 15th verse, Shri Krishna says, whatever right or wrong action a man performs by body, mind, or speech is caused by these five factors. So any action will have all these five factors, not up to five, but all five will be there in every action. Therefore, one who thinks himself the only doer, Srila Prabhupada is saying, it's not. So you are the doer. Yes, you are part of. Now you cannot say if I am, otherwise, if I am not the doer, then you will just sit like this. Hey, I'm not the doer. Why should I do anything? That is also not correct. Then also it will not happen. Because you are part of the doer, portion, fraction, not the whole. So therefore, one who thinks of himself the only doer, not considering the five factors, is certainly not very intelligent and cannot see things as they are. So such a person is unintelligent. 17, one who is not motivated by false ego, whose intelligence is not entangled, though he kills men in this world, does not kill, nor is he bound by his actions. So that is what Krishna is saying. Even if you do something and some result comes, don't think you are the entire doer. So go ahead anyway, do the action. That is the point. Okay, don't consider yourself to be have a claim on the result. And if the activity is bad, so to say, sinful, like war, don't feel guilty of taking the action either. Okay, if you are the only doer, then you can be fully guilty or fully responsible. Yes, I killed this person. But you are not the full doer, so you do not have to be guilty or fully guilty. And in Arjuna's case, Shri Krishna is taking all the responsibility. He's saying, I have killed all these people. You are just the person who will pull the trigger. He already said that in 11th chapter, Nimitta Matra Bhava Savyasachi, 11.33. So he's absolving Arjuna of all guilt and all sort of responsibility. And that is what Shri Krishna is saying, that one who sees this does not kill. and is not bound by his actions. Okay. So this is how we must make big decisions. So all this that we have discussed should be factored into any big decisions in our life. And here there is a slight difference in the word decision and choice. So this is the last slide we will cover today, and next we will cover next time. So making decisions is very important, and that is what shapes our life. Not much is our hard work. Hard work is secondary. Biggest is our decisions. If we make the right decisions or right choices, much of our life becomes resolved. Okay, then comes hard work and all those things. And Sri Krishna is giving us the framework for making best decisions or choices, because that's what is most important. That's why the CEO, he doesn't actually do any work, but he's paid the highest, because his job is to make decisions. Okay. So this framework is being provided by Sri Krishna. So what we have discussed today, first is to not shy away from making decisions. Okay. Get into it and make choices or make decisions. Now, an important aspect of I am adding this from my other understanding overall. Decision as such is analytical, or made, you can think of it as made from the head. Choices are made from the heart. But does it mean we should cut off the head, only make it from the heart? Then that will be a purely emotional decision. So there has to be a balance of both. It has to be a joint cooperation between head and heart. That is the answer. Do all the analysis, everything, but then do apply those factors which are the factors of the heart. And the biggest factor of the heart is bhakti. It is a matter of the heart. It's not a matter of the head. Head matter is jnana. Jnana comes from the head. Bhakti comes from the heart. So the highest factor of the heart is bhakti, but any decision should be based on both head and heart. But anyway, Shri Krishna is saying, don't shy away from making decisions in life. Walk into life. Walk in. Don't shy away. And with this framework, that don't be hung up on the fact, oh, I will have faults. Whether if I choose this, this will be the fault. If I choose that, that will be the fault. Like somebody was asking, should I give charity or should I not give charity? If you give charity, you may think, oh, in Bhagavad Gita, deshe kate patre cha, best or appropriate person at the appropriate time. Oh, I made a fault. If you don't give charity, then you will be guilty. Oh, I didn't give charity. I'm a miserly person. I'm a heartless person. I'm not a charitable person. You will have that guilt. Either way, you will have guilt. So go ahead with one of the things, and the spiritualization of it is Anu Sankirtanam Tava. Spiritualize it by Krishna Sankirtan. So that is the answer. So we will stop here, and next we will continue with next section is beginning, which is how or what can I influence in decision making? What can I influence? And there are three things that one can influence: what you know, what you do, and who you are, which is summarized as knowledge, action, and performer. So we will cover this next time. Okay. Yes, Raj Vidya Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, ma'am.
Prabhuji, one question regarding one of the causes of action is capabilities. So I just wanted to understand, capabilities, aren't they inbuilt? I mean, is it correct to say that capabilities are inbuilt and it is our free will to use the capabilities to the best possible, in the best possible way? That is why it is not in our control.
No, capabilities, what I mentioned as capabilities, let me show you.
Senses or tools.
Yeah, this have been karanam. So capability means capability, like, I'll just take a very mundane example, okay? Like a body you have been given, female body versus male body. All right. Now, that is why we don't have in the sports, females competing and males competing together. That's a capability, isn't it? If females and males, if they do 100-meter race, who will win, Mataji? Tell me.
Yes, Prabhuji, this is in comparison to other living entities. When we are talking about ourselves as an individual.
Yes, you may have
Right.
certain capability versus, like, some may, like many parents, they know that their child is not interested in engineering. He is interested in music. They push him into engineering. No, you must go to engineering college, and then they don't do well. Let them do well in the area where they have some inherent capability, but that is given. That is somehow, it is part of the samskar. So I'm sorry, what is your question?
So my question here was, Prabhuji, you mentioned that there are two things that are under our control, which is, one is the free will and the other is the effort.
Yes.
Capabilities are not in our control is what I understand from this.
Correct.
Then, right?
That is the meaning of
So
karanam.
that means, right?
That is karanam, yes.
Yeah, Karanam. So does that mean that capabilities is like a swabhav and somebody is born with those capabilities, whether
Yes.
or not to use it or not doesn't matter, but everybody has certain level of capabilities and that
Yes.
is not their control. How
That
much,
is
I mean,
not in our control. Yes. Just like I gave the example of female body. And even
yeah.
if you are world champion as a female in 100-meter, you cannot beat the male world champion. It's just like, it's the capability is not there in that kind of body. Or samskaras like music. If you are, if you are not cut out for becoming an engineer, it will be, how much ever you try, it's not worth it. So yes, answer is yes to your question.
Yeah, so then in our education system, we are not, I mean, we don't encourage the children to, identify their capabilities, and which is not, I mean, it is not possible, it seems.
It's not possible means what?
When they do something, they may fail, then they realize, oh, okay, I'm not capable of doing this. And when they do something, they excel in that. So, okay, I'm good in this, or maybe I should do this, right? So it has to be more of trial and error kind of a thing, because we don't have the capability of controlling it or even knowing.
Exactly. And that is why in the school system or earlier system, you teach all the subjects.
Yeah.
Right? You teach music, you teach math, you teach arts and drawing and sports, and everything is there. And yes, maybe there is one child who gets A grade in everything. But the underlying principle is to be able to identify when you are younger or when you are starting off, what are your strengths. And that is why when you go higher in the education, you choose, I will go into arts or science or whatever, sports or music, and then you specialize, and even higher you become more specialized when you do PhD. You do it in a very specialized area. Best is if you identify your strengths and then pick your battles, or then pick your endeavors. Then there is that aspect of, again, daivam, Bhagavan could be against it. Maybe you are such a sinner that one will not get success, but at least you are trying to take care of most of the causes of a successful result. You may have all the capability, but if you are lazy, then cheshta is missing. So yes, one should try to align one's endeavors according to one's strengths or capabilities, and that will increase the chances of a successful result. It's not a guarantee, but it will be better.
So if I may ask a follow-up, Prabhuji, so here, what you mentioned is if there is effort in the right direction, definitely the capabilities will come out. I mean, they will shine based on what they are, what is their nature, what they have, they have been given according to their
The
swabhava.
strengths can be put to good use in the proper direction.
Yeah. So there will be a thin line, right? How do we know that, okay, this person is actually putting the required effort, या ये lazy है, इतना ही कर सकता है, मतलब, how do we
It's not about
know?
we judging others.
How can I know as an individual? I mean, that I am
somebody
putting.
else is doing it, or
No,
you yourself.
yeah, I'm talking about myself. Like, how do I know that, okay, this is it, this is my capability, this is all I can do? There's no comparison. Okay, if somebody is able to do it better, then
Right.
it's fine. This is the best I can do. So how do I know or evaluate that, okay, I'm not being lazy, I've given my... So you will know that, right? We'll know that.
You will know that. That is definitely true.
Yeah.
And it is always good. That's why it is always good to have mentors. And in Bhakti Shastra, the name for mentor is what? A true mentor. The name for it is Shiksha Gurus. So, and they need to be your people with whom you trust, whom you can share everything. If you are being lazy and you know that you could have, I don't know, let's say you are, preparing for an exam and you just wasted 4 hours watching TV. You should have the, freedom and the obviously the courage to share with that person, I wasted time or this or that. So that person will give feedback as well. So of course, yourself as well, but it is always good to have people to guide us. But to be able to allow them to guide, we have to be open and vulnerable and tell the truth. And obviously the person has to be somebody who can, keep our secrets. He should not go and broadcast, what she does. She wastes so much time watching TV. So there has to be a relationship of trust. That person has to be more advanced than us so that he can help us, and needs to be like-minded so that he understands. You cannot go to Sachin Tendulkar and ask about how to become engineer, or go to Lata Mangeshkar and ask how to become cricketer. So you need to go to the right expert as well in the right field. So all these things are there. So one should have a whole framework, and such framework is, if bhakti is the goal, then go to a nice Vaishnava who is himself it's called bhajana vigya, means he's expert in his bhajan, and they can guide. So this concept of shiksha gurus and the right person and all that, all comes together. I hope that is helpful.
Yes, Prabhuji, definitely. Thank you so much. And I mean, this is from individual's perspective, like if I'm talking about myself. Now, when it comes to children, these days, I mean, I'm sure you must have got this question number of times. So these days, for kids, like they don't, for them, the spiritual master, so to say, is their mobile phone. Whatever their friends are doing, their association, they try to follow that and forget about their capabilities, or even listening to that inner self ki, this is what I should be doing, this is what so it takes a while for them to attain that stage of maturity where they are able to think in that direction, like am I giving my best here? So that becomes a challenge these days with
It does, but a large part is exposure to the outside world, to the wrong kind of association. So therefore, this is, first of all, that's why this is called Kali Yuga. Okay, such a good association is becoming rarer and rarer and rarer. 30 years ago, one very big bad association did not exist. Like you said, mobile phone. Now it exists. So that is one big degradation over the last 2-3 decades. So the more we will progress, the more and more bad association will be present. So it is possible to properly educate our children to stay away from bad association, not just bad association in terms of human beings, but also like mobile phones and the kind of content and all that. And the biggest thing that we as parents can do or should do is to show by example. Many cases and many people have come and talked to me about it. And the first thing I discover is that they themselves are not setting the right example. And it is hard. It is very hard to set the right example, but that's what it takes. You are asking your children to give up mobile phone, but you are stuck on it. And then the answer is, hey, my life is made. I have a good career. I am allowed to. You are not. And it seems like a very legitimate argument. You should not do it. And I don't need to give it up. So it's okay if I'm doing, but unfortunately, that's what it takes. If you are a sincere and a serious parent, you give it up. And children know what you do on mobile phone. They know it. If you tell them, no, I am doing my banking, I have to, transfer money. So I pick up my mobile phone and I transfer money, that is fine. They will not object. If you are answering a company email, important email on the mobile phone, they will realize that is important. But they also see you are whatever doing your Facebook, Instagram, they will catch. So you need to have the moral grounds to tell them, I am not using it or I am not misusing it. And therefore you should not misuse it. So proper training requires proper tapasya. That is why the guru needs to be a practitioner himself. Recently we were reading in Chaitanya Charitamrita. I forget the verse, maybe one of the devotees can point out which verse. In the 3rd chapter of Adi Leela, that one should not preach without practicing.
Yeah.
Those who are not practicing should not preach. Same thing applies to parents. Parents are preachers to their children. So it is hard, but it is possible. And that is a fault of Kali Yuga. This is why Kali Yuga is called, we glorify Kali Yuga. Kalir dosha nidhe rajan, as if like, Kali Yuga is best. We forget the fact how bad Kali Yuga is.
3.20, Prabhuji.
3.20 or 21, one of those, yeah.
20.
20, okay. Yeah, let me show you that.
$21. Sorry, you're right.
21. Unless one practices devotional service himself, he cannot teach it to others. This is the conclusion confirmed through Gita and Bhagavatam. आपने ना कैले धर्म सिखाना ना आया. You cannot and you should not. Eita siddhanta Gita Bhagavate Gaya. All right. So it is hard. It is definitely hard, but it is possible. And if you really want the result, you got to pay the price. All right. Any follow-up on that, or you're good?
Yes, one small follow-up, Prabhuji. So there is no, so to say, there's no systematic approach to identifying what your capabilities are. There are a lot of tools available in the market, but I don't know how authentic those are. But that finding your own capabilities, there's no tool external. It has to be an internal thing. You do your sadhana, you do your austerity.
Yes, yourself is there, but best tool is Guru.
Guru.
Just like a doctor, simply by a stethoscope. Why do you put stethoscope and just listen to your breathing? Simply by listening, they can figure out 90% of your problems. A good doctor. In our Ayurveda, by the nadi, or simply by, you're touching your various nadis at your various locations in your body, they can figure out your disease. Now you can say by symptoms, by trial and error, if I'm coughing, maybe I have a lung problem. If I'm, having this or that or that, that is for people who are not good doctors. So a proper guru can find out simply by looking at you. Okay. So again, it is, but yes, for common people, for us, such gurus are also rare. Again, thanks to Kali Yuga. Yes, there are, then you have to depend on alternative methods like, and by trying out various things, one can know as to what are my strengths. But the biggest thing is, again, bringing it back to bhakti. Within bhakti, what nourishes my bhakti is what needs to be identified. And one should pursue those limbs of bhakti that nourish their bhakti. Bhakti is not optional in Kali Yuga. It is mandatory. Now the only question is, what nourishes our bhakti? What kind of association, what kind of hearing, what kind of activities in bhakti nourish? We should try to identify and nurture them. So that is the, for bhakti, that's what we should do. All right.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you.
All right. All right. Anything else? Okay. If nothing else, then thank you so much. We will continue from 19th verse next time. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you,
Thank you so much,
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji. Thank you so much,
Hare Krishna.
Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.